Hey Simis, welcome back to your cozy corner of gaming. Let's talk about today's video, because today is for the players who love stories just as much as the gameplay. These are games that feel like challenges, and that feel like books. The kind you don't rush through, the kind you underline in your mind, revisit years later, and carry with you long after the final chapter. Today, we're stepping into 8 games that feel like novels. Games like Our Life Beginning and Always, a gentle coming-of-age story about growing up by the sea. Or Citizen Sleeper, a sci-fi tale written in neon and exhaustion, where survival itself becomes a math problem. I Was a Teenage Exocolonist is a deeply emotional sci-fi epic about memory, loss, and second chances. What makes all of these games similar isn't just their stories, it's how they ask you to slow down. They use soft colors, meaningful choices, and unique mechanics to tell narratives that feel intimate, thoughtful, and human. So let's settle in, grab our cozy blankets, let the world quiet down just a little, and let's turn the page together. Our Life, Beginning and Always, feels like a coming-of-age novel written just for you. Set in a peaceful seaside town, this game follows your life from childhood into adulthood, focusing on memories, relationships, and emotional growth. What makes it special is how deeply personal it is. You choose not just your name or pronouns, but how you feel about moments, about people, about yourself. The story grows gently, almost tenderly, as years pass and relationships change, especially your bond with Cove, your neighbor. And one thing I truly love about this game is that it refuses to punish you. There are no bad endings here, no wrong emotions, just space to exist. It feels like reading a comfort book you return to when the world feels loud. Soft blues, warm sunlight, and words that feel like they understand you. Growing Up reads like a nostalgic memoir set in the 1990s, full of childhood uncertainty, parental expectations, and quiet self-discovery. You experience life from birth to adulthood, navigating school, friendships, and family through a unique system called the Brain Map. Instead of traditional stats, you unlock memories, emotions, and skills, imagination, logic, empathy, shaping who you become. What I love most about Growing Up is how reflective it is. You're not chasing perfection, you're shaping a life. And once your story ends, the game lets you continue through the next generation, turning the experience into a legacy novel rather than a single chapter. The colors are vibrant but soft, almost scrapbook-like, and it feels like flipping through someone's childhood photo album. Messy, heartfelt, and real.
Again? Every cycle you take your chances.
Citizen Sleeper is a sci-fi novel brought to life, gritty, philosophical, and quietly devastating. You play as a sleeper, a digitized human consciousness trapped inside a decaying synthetic body, surviving on a crumbling space station called the Eye. Every day begins with a dice roll, and those dice determine how you spend your limited energy, working, eating, helping others, or just trying to survive. The writing here is stunning, it's heavy, and deeply human. And what I personally love is how it turns survival into a game. Every choice feels like a sentence written under pressure. The art, harsh lines, muted colors, glowing neon, mirrors the emotional weight of the story. It feels like reading a cyberpunk novel where hope flickers in the margins. Coming in at number 4 on our list, Volcano Princess. Volcano Princess feels like a fantasy storybook crossed with a parenting diary. You're raising your daughter in a kingdom slowly being overtaken by darkness. Every decision, from education to hobbies to combat training, shapes who she becomes and how the story unfolds. What makes this game special is how many paths it allows. There are dozens of endings, and they don't just change the outcome, they redefine the entire narrative. Knight, scholar, villain, farmer, every version feels like a different book pulled from the same shelf. I love how deceptively soft it looks. Pastel fantasy visuals hide a surprisingly deep and sometimes emotional story about responsibility and letting go. Next on our list is the Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood. It's pure magical realism. You play as Fortuna, an exiled witch living alone on an asteroid, crafting tarot cards to glimpse the future of a coven you were cast out from. And here's the twist. You don't just read tarot cards, you design them. Each symbol, color, and shape you choose affects the readings you give, and those readings change the lives of others. This game feels like reading a poetic fantasy novel about fate, identity, and forgiveness. I personally adore its color palette. Deep purples, glowing golds, cosmic blues. It feels intimate, all at once. It's one of those stories that makes you stop and think after every chapter. I Was a Teenage Exocolonist is a coming-of-age epic layered with grief, hope, and memory. Set on an alien planet, you grow from childhood into adulthood within a fragile human colony. Every decision, who you befriend, where you work, how you spend your time, shapes both you and the colony's survival. What makes this game extraordinary is its memory-based deck building system. Your experiences become cards, meaning the story literally becomes the mechanics. Trauma, joy, and growth all affect how you play. And then there's the reincarnation. On future playthroughs, your character remembers past lives, allowing you to change outcomes and protect people you once lost. I love how this game turns replaying into rereading, a chance to understand the story more deeply each time. The watercolor alien landscapes feel soft but unfamiliar, like reading a sci-fi novel painted in pastels. And after such an emotionally vast story, the next game invites us to slow down, to find meaning in quiet moments and gentle routines. The Garden Path feels like a quiet novella about learning how to rest. Set in a gentle, mystical woodland, this game unfolds in real time, meaning the world continues even when you're not there. Days pass, plants grow, and visitors arrive whether you check in or not. There's no pressure to keep up though, no penalty for absence. The story happens with or without you, and that alone makes it feel deeply human. What I truly love about the Garden Path is how it treats time as part of the narrative. Progress isn't measured in achievements, it's measured in presence. You make tea, tend your garden, and share small conversations with wandering visitors, many of whom are simply passing through. And that's the point. Not every character is meant to stay. The art style feels like a classic illustrated children's book. Soft lines, earthy colors, and cozy imperfections. The vegetable-headed travelers, the mossy pathways, and the quiet ambient sounds all work together to create a space that feels safe and reflective. This game reads like a book you don't rush through. It's the kind you leave open on the table, returning to you whenever you're ready. And after spending time in a world that asks you to slow down, the final story invites us to look backwards, into memory, childhood, and the way moments linger. Dordani is a memoir painted in watercolors. You follow Mimi as she returns to her late grandmother's home in the French countryside, slowly uncovering memories from her childhood. The story isn't told in a straight line. Instead, memories surface through sensations, sunlight through trees, the sound of cicadas, the feeling of summer air. What makes De Dornier feel so much like a book is its structure. You don't collect items, you collect moments. Words, sounds, and images are gathered and placed into a scrapbook-style journal, forming a personal narrative shaped by what you notice and choose to remember. I love how gentle this game is with its subject. Grief isn't dramatic here, it's quiet. Nostalgia isn't romanticized, it's fragmented and soft, just like real memories. The nearly 200 hand-painted watercolor scenes feel like pages from an illustrated novel, each one lingering just long enough to be felt. Dordogne reads like a story about how childhood never really leaves us. It simply waits to be remembered. From the tender growth of our life to the memory-soaked pages of Dordogne, these games remind us that stories don't just belong on shelves. They live in our choices, in colors, in quiet moments. If you enjoyed this cozy chapter, please make sure to like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which of these games you feel like you'd curl up with first. And as always, thanks for spending time in our cozy corner of gaming.